Are we live?
Not yet. Now we are.
Okay.
Yes, namaste once again, Kaizaad, and back. Sorry, we lost the connection
Yeah.
since I think we had some bandwidth problems, or like you said, probably Big Brother was listening and decided to kind of edit some part of what you were saying. But go ahead, we are all ears.
Mark Zuckerberg probably didn't like what I was saying. Anyway, so I think your larger point is a point that should really be concerning to all of us. That in a country where and body body organization in charge of justice, law and order, and accountability is so severely inept and compromised. One, you do not have a democracy anymore. Democracy is not simply the ability to cast a vote. You have to have functioning systems that support that vote when you've cast it, right? Hold people accountable for that, who you elected, etc., etc. But the bigger issue is that when you have a system that doesn't have these functioning organizations, these bodies in it, uh, a lot of guilty get away, and a lot of people who may not be guilty are punished. And that then is the example of either a fascist dictatorship or a banana republic at best. And so, to me, at this point, because I don't have the information about Deepika's case or Barkha's case or whatever, uh, I want to focus on the larger issue that you raise, which is that we need to bring those organizations back into some sort of functioning, some sort of integrity, some sort of accountability, and some level of just basic aptitude. When I look at how our police behave, uh, what is the training that they get? I really sometimes wonder, just basic training. During COVID, Jerry, I'll give you this example. Uh, Hardly been going out, obviously, but in the very early days of COVID, when it was quite this thing, and we already knew that we should be, uh, spitting and all this, I had to go deliver some food supplies to a senior citizen friend. And I was in the car, and outside Mantralaya, there was a police truck parked, and the police were on their lunch break, and they just finished lunch. And we were driving by, and to a T, 7 of them were gargling and spitting on the road. And these were the same police who were stopping cars from going from one road to the next because the government had said no. So, this basic training, this basic just ability to do your job is so sorely lacking in our country.
And I completely agree with you on that the ability to do the job. But I think what I want to get into is, uh, like you said, when we don't know all the information, we cannot take a fair stand. Now, everyone loves bashing Trump. Good. I'm absolutely not for Trump, but for that matter, I'm not for Clinton also, or for Obama. I've seen some of your posts where you said that show me which president is not a war criminal. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So then we are left to choosing the lesser evil, is what you're saying, basically.
No, I'm not. No, quite the opposite. So if we're talking about American politics, one, I have to acknowledge that I have very little say in it, except that having lived there for 24 years, I've seen how it operates. I've seen its functioning, its positives as well as its negatives. We have to be a little bit careful in saying that Obama and Trump are the same person, because they're not. And I'll explain why I think that. If you are an American citizen, and certainly somebody of a marginalized group, like from the LGBTQ community, women, African Americans, even Hispanics, etc., Obama was a good president for you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. Where Obama fails as a president is when you look at him from the outside, when you understand that he ordered more drone attacks than George Bush Jr. and resulted in the killing of many, many more innocent brown people than George Bush, who is by all standards, by all just basic standards of war criminal. Obama has killed more people than George W. Bush did. But to say that they're the same person is a little bit, it allows George Bush to get away with a lot more. Now, let's be very clear that some of the people letting George Bush get away with it are Barack and Michelle Obama. Okay, there's no doubt about that. But I think we have to be very careful about not painting everybody, or at least nuancing why we think they're problematic. So what I always tell my
No, I don't think it's about painting everybody with the same brush. And I'm going to interject there because I'll just give an example. I have a very dear friend, my friend from Bombay days, school, college days, who was part of the Obama campaign. All right. And during the Obama days, he would sing like, paeans of Obama till the cows came home. Right. Never has called out any of the wrongs done by Obama. Like you would see in India, many of the so-called activists like Harsh Mandar, Shabnam Hashmi, etc., who are all part of the National Advisory Council with Sonia Gandhi, never called out any of the wrongs done by the Congress. Today, they're calling out all the wrongs done by Narendra Modi. Hey, I'm not painting everybody with the same brush, and you can say the nuances are different, but are we saying that the Congress is not communal?
No, so exactly. So Jerry, what you're talking about is the systemic problems that we have. And so this is why it's irrelevant whether I think Obama is slightly better than Trump, which I think he is. Just at a basic fundamental human decency level, Obama is light years ahead. Obama has never talked about grabbing women by their pussy. He doesn't have a son who is a neo-Nazi sympathizer. He is a neo-Nazi sympathizer. So I mean, there are many things that we have to be very careful about how we say that they're the same person, because they're not. But what you are pointing to again, outside of the specifics of the individual, are the systemic problems. What democracies have become across the country, across the globe, are, as I say, definitely we are now not democracies in the traditional sense of understanding what those are supposed to be. We are at best oligarchies. We have oligarchic systems in place, and we are very soon tumbling towards becoming banana republics, but banana republics with a lot of money in the hands of 1 or 2% of the population. Okay? So rather than spending time arguing about who's better, Obama, Trump, Narendra, Sonia, etc., etc., I think our energies should be spent on changing the system. It's that 1 billion rising, getting people to say that at the end of the day, for the issues of what puts food on my plate, for the issue of what provides me fundamental basic human dignity, what provides me with fundamental human equality, none of the political parties or leaders or systems in place right now, with the exception of Scandinavia and a few rare examples, are able to deliver those. We are systematically, and this is because we have you see, we have confused democracy and capitalism as being either one and the same or inherently used of necessity to each other.
Which is the narrative which the US sold to many countries.
Actually, not the United States. Well, yes, the United States to a certain degree. But I remember I can even give you the year 1992, 93. I was in Columbus, Ohio, and I was talking to a very lefty graduate student from Scotland, sitting in a bar. And we were just, like you do when you're that age and you think you can change the world. and you have all the answers, and you had a few drinks, and we were sitting there, and I remember having this discussion, which is totally come true today, that it is actually China who showed the world that you can be supremely capitalistic by being utterly undemocratic. In fact, the less democratic you were, the more capitalistic you could be. You see, America actually was selling quite the opposite. It was saying that democracy and capitalism are bhai bhai and they're.
That's what I'm saying. That's the narrative that they sold to the world.
But that's a very benign narrative. That's a very friendly kind of, we'll all go to Disney World someday because there'll be no poor people left.
That's what they wanted us to believe by taking over Cuba and places like that.
Showed America that you guys are idiots. You're letting your people believe they have all this vote.
Absolutely, and I think that's a long discussion because I mean that's what they try to implement in places in Africa, in Cuba, in Latin America, etc. But I want to.
Narendra or Obama or Barkha or Tarun Tejpal or any of those. It is, we've got systems that are fundamentally broken. And rather than trying to get into all that muck, let's uproot the system and let's change that.
No, and I want to still kind of challenge that thought, because where I was coming from is I wrote this piece called "The Activist Ethic and Principles," right? I had shared it with you. When you say we need to change systemic concerns, we need to address the systemic concerns, you have a body called the National Advisory Council.
Yes, absolutely.
Created to address systemic concerns, right? And then you have the grandmother of Indian politics in current times, Sonia Gandhi, who's the chairperson of that National Advisory Council. And she fills up the National Advisory Council with cronies who become yes. No, let me complete now. Who become yes men, right? And then you have the last wise man of the Indian National Congress, Montek Singh Aluwalia, who says 32 rupees is good enough for a family to survive and eat decent meals and live well, while he's building toilets which are costing 25 lakhs of rupees. And this is in the presence of the National Advisory Council, which has people like Aruna Roy, Harsh Mandar, etc., many of them. And none of them raise their voice because they've all become slaves to the red beacon cars.
But Jerry, you're proving my point. What you're saying to me is that Sonia Gandhi is part of the broken system. I'm not arguing with you. But what I'm saying is that that's not for me, that's not how, see, getting rid of, I will tell you this, I will even predict this to you, that there will be a time when there will be no Sonia Gandhi. There will, right? But till you systemically change, please don't assume that with Sonia Gandhi gone, somehow there's going to be this kind of opening of the clouds and angels are going to fly into the Congress party and things are going to change. It is the system that is at fault. It is the system that she can take advantage of by filling it, as you said.
But at the end of the day, Kaizaad, we are the system, no?
So this is where I disagree with you.
So if the people are not going to change it, who's going to change it?
But this is where the 1 billion rising, this is where the Bernie Sanders movement from the United States, this is where the Alexandria Cortez movement from the United States are of infinite value, because that's where the people are. It's this young kid, I always forget his name. Yeah, these JNU kids. Who's that very eloquent guy who speaks in Hindi? I'm forgetting his name right now. Not Hardik. What's his?
You're talking about
Kanhaiya.
Right. That's to me where the transformation of the people.
No, but then Kanhaiya goes and joins the Communist Party, who are absolutely ineffective and I mean unproductive.
Okay. So Jerry, again,
You have the India Against Corruption, which wanted to do a systemic change. What happened to them? They became more corrupt than anybody else. Like I say, they have more levels of VIP now in their meetings than anybody else. Because the fact of the matter is that the human being is basically corrupt.
so then what we have to do, is that and this is what I think is actually happening, to be honest with you, not to make light out of it, is that I think we're already in a state of the system devouring itself, right? It's become a cannibalistic system. I think what has to happen is that you know there's a flesh-eating virus, right? That sometimes no matter what you do, it doesn't stop till it's eaten just the flesh that it needs to eat. And I think here what we're in so much rot right now that enough has to burn down, burn away, burn off for any kind of revival to be possible. And so what that means, unfortunately, is that there's a lot more suffering coming down the road. Who bears that suffering is again the people who already held the disproportionate burden of that human suffering, which is the marginalized, the poor, the unhealthy, women, people of color, people of the rainbow of sexualities, etc., etc. So maybe we are, and maybe it's time to be honest and say that we have to let a lot more of the forest burn down before trying to patch it here, before it sets flame here and patch it there while it starts a fire here. Let enough of it burn down and then start building anew.
So,
But
Kaizaad,
I am answer to that.
I got you, and I think what I'll do is I'll conclude this because we can also go on till the cows come home, because I will agree to disagree and disagree to agree with a lot of what you're saying. But my concluding insight for you is that I wrote this in the activist ethic, that if you're an activist, if you're a crusader, you got to do, if you're a journalist, if you're doing anything in the public space which is taking a stand and speaking out, you got to be non-partisan. You have to be apolitical. You cannot have biases against one because you are more aligned and inclined towards the other. That compromises the system. That moral code is what is the problem. And that's why the systems are all broken down, because human beings have become like that. We take sides. We take sides with people who we think are better, but they are in no ways better.
But Terry, this is not new in the sense that there was a time when the journalistic code of a restaurant critic, I'm using a very mundane example, right, was that you could never let the restaurant owner know that you were the critic.
Absolutely.
You went, either your newspaper or you paid for the meal.
Right.
So you could provide the most honest critique of that restaurant on
Absolutely.
the day that you were there.
No, it's a good example, Kaizaad, because a few weeks ago we had Ashish Chopra who told us that the Veer Sangvi and the likes actually kind of go and stay in 5-star hotels and accept a lot of packets and gifts to write well about those restaurants.
But so that's what I'm saying. Then came the marketing teams, then came your MBA graduates that said that no, why are we being foolish? Let's bring them into our family, right? So this erosion has been happening for a while. It's not new. This is not new. And so all I'm saying is that I am not so interested anymore in this person or that person. I want to devote mine to changing the system.
Right, absolutely. But I think more than changing the system, we have to also change mindsets, because the human mindset has become very, very compromised, very, very weak, where we actually have started hero worshipping people like this.
But Jerry, but you've answered my question, and it just struck me what you said. What you said is absolutely beautiful, because when we start talking about a Barkha Dutt or a Narendra Modi, right? What we do is we get people's partisan hackles up on either side. And then we get into this game playing of no, but he did
Right.
do this so badly, but she's a little better than him. But no, but he did that, no. And what I'm saying is that if we don't bring those personalities into the discussion of this change of mindset I'm talking about, and just say, look, how much more of the environment can you stand being destroyed, right, for your grandchildren? Let's not talk about what she did and what he did and why he did and therefore he did. And now, if you agree that we cannot stand even one more centimeter of the earth going down because of environmental degradation, what can we start doing right now? And so you've in some ways actually shifted the debate beautifully to what the need of the hour is. You see, what happened, and again, I hate to bring this issue up, but what happened in this whole nepotism debate, which we talked about, when I talked about that the real cancer in Bollywood is not nepotism, it is exploitation. What's happened is that when you start talking about Kangana said this, but then Swara said that, but then Sonam said this, but then 5 years ago on the same topic, Anil Kapoor had said this, and then Bachchan did this 7 years ago, the issue dies. The issue gets lost. And so coming back to the issue is what the system, change the system. Not what who said, because those people are transient. There will be a day when Kangana is no longer relevant to anything. There will be a day when Narendra Modi is no longer relevant to anything.
I think there are two things to this. One is surely we have to address the issue, but the other thing is to also address the biases and the compromises and the partisanship, right?
But that's part of having a mindset. See, if you have a
Right.
mindset that is willing to be fair to everybody, in
Right.
your criticism and your praise, okay, let's be honest about that, then you're already in that mindset that is changing things. You're already there.
Absolutely.
The problem is because we are so, oh, but I like Narendra, no, but Sonia is like this, it all gets lost. It's just, it's a mess.
No, I don't like anybody. I say do what is right for the people of India, not for any party. I think that should be the focus.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Whether you have to attack a system or attack an individual, do what is right for the people of India. Because
yeah.
And like I said, we can go on about this, but maybe we'll have another session with you soon.
This is a very good place to end, because I think that's what is needed. Is the system has to be reimagined. I mean, it has to be reimagined. And till we reimagine it, it will continue to burn. And our only hope is that we don't burn as badly as it's threatening to burn.
Right.
Or that somehow the smoke from the fumes makes us pass out before we feel the pain of the burn. You know, right. it's that in an airplane crash, one of the nice things is if the oxygen's gone, you're unconscious before you actually die. Right? That's the upside to an air crash. You're not aware of your own death. But that's the world we live in, unfortunately.
Okay, Kaizaad, brilliant. Pleasure having you with us once again, and look forward to seeing you at the next Rex Karmavir ceremony. And thank you so much. Any closing insights from the two of you before we call it a night?
No, I appreciate this. And I like I said, there's also a lot of good happening in the world, and I do want to end on that.
Of course.
And I think that this is why I like the work that you all do, is because there is a lot of good happening, and I think it's important to acknowledge that good. I think it's important to showcase that good. I think it's important to make that good be part of the change of the mindsets and the system.
And I completely agree with that, because I always say this in my talks and in my writing, that change has always been led by the few in the world, not by the many. And even if the good is being done by the few, that's good enough, because that's hope for the world.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's absolutely true, because we remember Rosa Parks, and we remember Nelson Mandela, and we remember Martin Luther King Jr., and we remember,
Maya Angelou and all the people. Yes,
we remember those people, because it was one poem here and one speech here and one march here and one protest here, and that's what happens. That's how it happens.
Absolutely. So thank you so much and have a great evening. My regards to Mahabanu ma'am and take care.
You too.
See you. Good
Thank you
night.
so
Good night,
much.
Itu.
Thank you
Good
so
night.
much,
Good night,
Kaizaad.
Kaizad. Good
Lovely
night.
to